Hey guys, Marquis here. It has been a tradition for me to make a worst songs video for every year in the 2020s for nearly 5 years now, and 2025 will be no different. With how crazy this year was in terms of celebrities getting exposed, people making comebacks, me included, and all of the unique releases that came out, I think it's only fitting that we look at the absolute worst this year had to offer. So without any further ado, here are the worst songs of 2025. There were a lot of musical downfalls this year that I was pretty saddened to see. The downfall of artists like Lil Wayne, Young Thug, Travis Scott, and, the one that affected me the most, the continued downfall of Kanye West. We all know the 2020s was already a bad decade for him, given that earlier in the decade, he was called out for supporting that one Austrian painter you definitely know the name of, but just when I think he couldn't stoop any lower, he found a way. Okay, let me just state the obvious here. Why would you even make a song about this? Like, think about it. This embarrassing family confession of what you did with your cousin should stay private. This is why they tell you not to share everything that happens to you out loud. Because now people think you're fucked up in the head for looking in the magazine at two gay people doing the deed and decided to give your cousin a blowy because of that. I wouldn't even be surprised if you're banned from future Thanksgiving gatherings because of this. Because I sure as hell wouldn't invite someone who would willingly suck their own relative off to the table. In one of the worst reputation blows out of any rapper I have ever seen this year, truly humble under God went from loved to a snitch in the matter of a few years. Why? You may ask. This was why.
Gonna wreck, yeah correct, slug a wreck, wounded wreck, fuck that nigga Obama, he still mad about baby mama.
What most people will tell you about the YSL trial is this. Gunna took a plea deal that would allow him to get freed from his case, but in return, he gave evidence to the judge that would lengthen Thugger's case. Then Young Thug would be freed after cooperating with the law enforcement that granted him bail. But what actually happened was, while Thug was given the opportunity to be free, he used that as the perfect opportunity to get into his Summer Walker bag and start gossiping about other people. This then ruined his reputation because it was seen as running his mouth when he didn't need to. So him calling out everyone in YSL that he thinks is a rat while he's the rat himself is pretty ironic, don't you think? Just remember not to use friendly fire on yourself, okay? Lil Wayne's The Carter series has been known for giving us some of his best rapping performances over the years, with The Carter 3's highly impactful Mr. Carter and his showcase on how to flow perfectly on a beat with Let the Beat Build. The Carter 4 giving us some of his most iconic hit songs with the bass rattling 6 foot 7 foot and the pop rap cut She Will, and The Carter giving us all-time classics like Snitch and Go DJ. So what did The Carter 6 bring to the table that these other installments haven't yet? Apparently horrible production that makes Wowzers sound like it was composed by Mozart.
What up though? All my niggas cutthroat, cut a nigga head off, you looking like you Bumbo.
I don't know what possessed Lil Wayne to rap over this Crash Bandicoot ass beat. He clearly wasn't in his right mind when he chose to rap over this Bubsy sounding ass beat. Somebody needs to fire whoever made this Spider-Man the animated series on Genesis sounding ass beat. No, but seriously though, this might be one of the worst beats I have ever heard a rapper hop on. Like, who approved of this shit? I know Lin-Manuel Miranda is capable of much better than this. You're telling me that this is the same man who made My Shot from Hamilton? If I heard this beat without ever hearing that song, I wouldn't even believe you. But unfortunately, he did put his name on this dumpster fire. And the worst part is that the beat is so bad that Wayne stops trying near the end of the song. No other beat in the history of rap music has ever made a rapper give up. Congratulations. What a horrible accomplishment. You know, there are definitely some artists that Bruno Mars should have never worked with. For example,
Fat, juicy and wet. I don't even gangbang, pussy so good, make me.
Never in all of the years of me making content like this have I ever thought that Bruno Mars would ever release an over-sexualized club banger with about as much vulgarity as a Cupcake song. And I find it funny that Bruno Mars mentions throwing up a set because he's the last person I would ever envision joining a gang. I mean, there are multiple gangs he could join where he's from. The Commando de Capital, the Commando Vermelho, the Amigos dos Amigos and the Crime do Nordeste. Wanna know what the problem is though? None of these gangs are letting him in. He doesn't have the cred or drug dealing background that Escobar had. So he's better off making these horny pop songs instead of thinking he's a gangbanger. This is Kill Carl. He's an artist who dabbles in the genre that we like to call co-worker music. It's a type of music that's so bad that you can't imagine anyone else but your co-worker listening to it. And he's by far the worst artist making this type of music. Just listen to this shit.
Get the fuck over it. Nobody gives a shit.
I would imagine Kill Carl as the type of guy who likes giving bad advice to people, because telling them to simply get over it won't solve anything. And I can demonstrate some examples of how exactly this would go if this advice was actually applied.
Man, I am going through my worst breakup right now. It's hard to move on really. What would you recommend?
Have you tried getting the fuck over it?
Wait, what? How does that help at all? You're acting like this isn't a big deal at all. You don't understand.
Womp womp.
Don't fucking womp womp me.
Yeah, that went over as well as you may have expected it to. So moral of the story, don't take any advice from Carl here, ever. Well, if it isn't the two men who are one woman away from getting a restraining order put in both of their names.
She's my future, it's why we're moving real fast.
On this song, Ronnie Radke and Hardy describe their ideal type of women as messed up in the head and psychotic, meaning that the both of them are into abusive relationships. That doesn't surprise me in the slightest because both of them are complete pieces of shit. Ronnie has had a history of mistreating women and Hardy seems like the type to have unpaid child support. So you know what? It's fitting. But I care too much about my own safety to put up with that shit. Let me ask you this. What happens when you make people wait 9 years for new music and then when you finally drop, you lower expectations? Well, you'll end up in the same situation Rihanna found herself in when she made this song. You know, for someone's first song in 9 years, I would expect it to sound more finished than it actually ended up being. Because how, after all that time you made us wait, did you only manage to only put a single verse on a song and then loop it to complete the song? You were phoning it into, showing that you didn't really care about this movie at all and that you just wanted your paycheck at the end of the day. I should have known the actual movie would end up being that bad if even the biggest artist in the world phoned in her performance on its soundtrack. Move aside smoking skull. We have a new audio terrorist in town.
We the new black KKK.
Digital Nas has been involved in audio terrorism practices way worse than you could ever imagine because everything he touched turns into a disaster. You see, this album is named Tampering with Sound, but it's really fucking up the sound completely, because Nas doesn't do things the right way. He does things the Nas way, which doesn't always get things done in the best of matters. He's also been hanging around Kanye way too much and I'm starting to think the bad influence is rubbing off on him. If you want a safe studio, he's the last person you wanna invite. You know, sometimes I think we make the wrong people famous.
Said I lost weight and they said I got bigger. That's okay cause I'm still that nigger. That's okay cause I'm
I don't even think Dave Bluntz is trying to hide it anymore. He is just naturally racist at this point. He's using African American stereotypes, Asian stereotypes, Mexican stereotypes. I mean hell, he even uses Caucasian stereotypes. He's just fully aware of what he's doing at this point and he's become the edgy rapper who's built like a bowling ball that we all hate. We just have to roll him away into the gutter and hope he never comes back up from the hole. Lil Baby has always had mixing issues in his music, like his producers were trying to self-sabotage his whole sound. But on a Wham Wednesday track, oh nah bro.
Niggas low-key be depressed, why it look like I'm at my best? They know they don't wanna be for me.
Other Boy is Lil Baby's most predictable and bland song to date, where he addresses losing trust in those people who switch sides even though he thought they were loyal to him. And that's funny because you imply that one of the other boys is Young Boy but you switched up on him first. It's crazy how that works. Also, why is Baby louder than this beat? How far away from the mic was he? Maybe the next time that you record a Wham Wednesday song, you should at least try not to social distance from it. It's not 2020 anymore. Okay, can somebody please tell Drake he isn't Mexican?
I want to meet your madre, pay my respects to your padre, mi amor.
Why on earth does Drake keep doing these Latin collabs like he thinks he's one of them? You're a traitor, Drake. You're from Canada. You aren't more charming when you sing in Spanish. You're as creepy when you do it in English. So I don't know why after all these years why you still try it. I think you're lost. Get it together, man. My standards were low for Netspend, but holy shit. I didn't expect him to release something even worse than what he did last year.
My little bro stress. I got some shit to get off my chest. Been saying we blessed.
There's a point where this shit doesn't even sound like music anymore. It's just sound. It's just autistic sound. I wonder how much Tylenol Net's mum gave him so that I can truly understand how much brain damage he had when he came out of the womb and then decided to drop this when he grew up. And of course it's produced by the Ice Spice producer as well. He didn't even help with making this one more listenable. Oh, speak of the devil.
Big God, big God, big God, big God, SpongeBob, big God.
This is a song for the movie where all of the SpongeBob characters have to find him, and Ice Spice is describing his appearance. Keep in mind that she had a crush on him since a child. No, I am deadass. Whether or not this makes her standards lower than Ian Watkins's spirit flew down when he died, I'll let you decide. But this might be her worst one yet. No charisma, just lyrics about how he has his pants on fleek and how much she wants to stick it in each hole of his. Well, she didn't quite say that, but I'd imagine that's what she would wanna do with them. What is a person like her even doing in this movie anyways? If you think Drake thinking he's Mexican was bad, wait till you find out about Travis Scott thinking he's of West African descent.
You only call me up when you think it's on E. You get low and come and fill up.
I don't think anyone asked for you to hop on more Afro beats quite like this one. But yet you did anyways, and you went on full on autopilot when it came to your part. You just did the bare minimum on this beat. Tyler had a better part than you, and she couldn't even save this song because the Jamaican audio terrorist Vibes Cartel came in and ruined the entire vibe. Y'all should have kept him in jail. What are y'all doing? And the way he introduced himself was so obnoxious as well. With the fucking air horn sound effect. In the Big 25. I only remember hearing those back in 2016 YTPs, and I bet you know which ones I'm talking about. But it would practically be like me talking like this the entire video with the background noise being so loud you can't even hear me. See how annoying that would be? I wonder why Vibes didn't think so. Soulja Boy hasn't been in a list like this since 2023. But guess what? He never left. He's still bad.
We smoking Zaza in the trap, we got gas bags. Yeah, pull up on the block, Lambo paper.
So this song's actually by someone named Wacko the Kid, but I have no idea who that is. I don't listen to Insane Clown Posse enough to know his connection to the group. What I do know is that everyone's performance here is phoned in, especially Soulja Boy's. But isn't that usually what you expect to hear from Soulja nowadays? It doesn't help that it sounds that basic. I haven't even heard of Wacko before this, but after this song, I might not be tapping in. Just when you think you can escape Benson Boone, he comes back for a second year in a row to make your ears bleed once again. Last time we talked about Benson Boone, he was a desperate douchebag who wanted a woman to stay with him. This time, he's in love with a woman and wants to interpolate an 80s classic. But he can't do it because he's really bad at singing. I thought his singing was still pretty bad from the last song we covered from him, but this might somehow be worse. Now I'm starting to prefer that song over this. Thanks Benson for making a song so bad that it makes your other one sound better. What happens when you take two of the most sonically uninteresting artists currently making music and put them both on the same song? It goes as badly as you would expect it to go.
Tell me what's happening with my soul. I try to get past it, but I won't. You think that I'm crazy, but who knows?
This song's about not enabling people you may see as a threat because it would cause your anxiety to trigger. And in Joyner's verses, he says that you may think he's insane with the type of things he tells you, but you have to understand his background first and get to really know how fucked up it is. This song is really bland and boring, but what else did you expect from a collab with Black Bear? Oh boy, another bad collab we never asked for.
Stuck in traffic, trying to find my way to a home that I've never known on a GPS with no address, so I'll follow.
This song's about two assholes who can't find love because everything they do ends up turning out bad and they're not gonna leave much of an impact behind. I do get not wanting to end up like someone whose life went down the wrong path, but it's hard to feel bad for any of the two on this song, considering that I put them both in the same worst rappers video. Even when you're as big as you are in the music scene, never ever diss Charlie XCX.
Actually sweet, all the time you've spent on.
So Taylor Swift has had enough when it comes to being called the bland and generic one, the boring Barbie if you will, and Charlie being called the innovative and bold one. And despite her having a hatred for her, Taylor thinks that this is actually obsession over her. Okay. First of all, I think Charlie's more attractive than you ever be. Don't say that I'm lying, cause look at her and tell me you wouldn't do that. Taylor's like mid in her whole appearance. She's giving basic bitch. Also, Charlie reinvented her own sound and made her music unique. You, on the other hand, put out the same formulaic pop album time and time again just expecting people to eat the shit up. You're also 35 years old and hardly relatable anymore. If you're such a millionaire, how could you possibly know meme culture more than I do? Keep in mind, I am 4 years younger than you and at least I haven't sold out completely and can relate to my audience. The only real relatable thing about your music is that me and everyone else collectively groan when you incorporate a corny lyric. Just please stop. Up next on Things We Didn't Ask For, a new Cardi B album. Okay, so on this one, Cardi's airing out her dirty laundry on Offset, calling him out for cheating, not staying loyal and not even loving her. And I'm not gonna lie, if I was married to this bitch, I would wanna leave her ass as well. What doesn't she have? A loud mouth? Is obnoxious? I mean, aren't you the same one who lied about cooking and cleaning in one of your songs? Turns out more than one person in that relationship wasn't being truthful. And one of the most baffling decisions on this entire song was deciding to interpolate What's Up by the Four Non-Blondes. And it is here that I must apologize to Pitbull and his song Let's Take a Shot. This song made me realize that I was too harsh towards you. And for that, I'm sorry. No, but seriously though, who the fuck is this song for? Morgan Wallen, the troubled old racist from Tennessee, called his neighbor a gamer slur and got away with it. Why? Cause he ended up being one of the biggest country stars of all time, which may have also been a bad thing.
They don't know my name at these bars, and you can't.
So Morgan finds himself in Miami, a place he isn't really familiar with since a lot of things there are way different from the way they are in his hometown. And he often thinks about people questioning what he's even doing there. Personally, I wouldn't find myself in Miami because then the thought of getting targeted by a Florida man pops in my head. I know there's also a solo version of this song as well. I picked the remix instead though because this just shows the horrible feature run Wayne has been on this year. No charisma, lackluster metaphors and nothing really engaging to hook me into the verse. And Rick Ross is fine on this. Couldn't care either way whether if he was on it or not. He is actually from Miami though, so props for that. Every time a K-pop band tries to rap, An angel loses its wings.
Liberty, Tesla, fried chicken.
It's not like when every K-pop band tries to rap and it ends up sounding bad. I think BTS is a good example of someone in a K-pop group being able to rap. Because RM has the flow and the cadence to match what he's talking about. At least he tries. But with Cat's Eye here, it just seems like they're listing off a bunch of stuff that they think is cool, without rhyme or structure. And this beat definitely doesn't sound like it has structure either. It's clunky as hell, which makes you think as to why they landed on this one. At least it's better than the beat Wayne hopped on. Also, Teslas aren't cool. They are known to run over children because they can't detect them as a road hazard. Also, the person who made them's a Nazi. How did this guy go from being in the hype house to making some of the blandest pop music I've ever heard? Okay, I don't necessarily think the singing's bad. It's just that this song has no personality. It sounds like every other pop song I've heard in the last few years or so. It's a song about how you find such a strong connection with someone that barely even feels real. Considering that this is the same guy who used to prank his girlfriend in the hype house, is he really capable of change? Hey look, I know you're not used to seeing Babytron on a worst list, but I can explain.
Cornballs of the year, y'all boys the nominee. Tell the ops to borrow me, they all can get a shot for free.
So my biggest problem with Babytron's music as of lately is that it's been feeling uninspired and lazy. He never really evolved past having punchlines, and it feels like he hasn't really been giving it his all on the recent shit he's been putting out. And every person featured on this song is less interesting than Babytron is. Certified Trapper has always been a bad rapper in my opinion and is just the Milwaukee Soldier Boy. La Tyler shares too many similarities to Kodak's style to the point where I don't really care for either of their music. Rugrat is very one-dimensional in his deliveries, and I feel like he, more often than not, accidentally makes the same song over and over again. And Trapland Pat is a fucking weirdo. All culminate into a bunch of rappers that I am getting tired of hearing about. But now, it's time for the worst song of 2025. You know, despite all of the memes of Charlie Kirk coming out recently, mostly because the people making them absolutely hated his existence, I don't think Charlie Kirk deserved to die. And as controversial as it may seem, I think it's true actually. If you put aside all of the controversial statements he has made over the years, he was a great advocate for getting young adults to believe in anything they wanted to, and he was a role model his community looked up to as a guide in a sort of way. And he was killed out of pure hatred and distaste for everything he has ever done. The killer was proving a point by doing this, showing that America's corrupt and that they'll get you to believe anything that they want you to think is true. Which is why I've decided that, this year, an AI-generated song will be the first ever of its kind to be called the worst song of the year.
How dare they steal the breath from a faithful man?
Now I have no problem with them feeling mournful for his death. I mean, many people were. I don't think hatred needs to escalate to the point of violence. What I don't necessarily agree with though is trying to shift blame for who the cause of his death was from. Can we not just talk about a dead person and have to get into the politics of it all, like what they believed in when they were alive and what group was behind their assassination? Just let them rest in peace. You don't have to speculate every detail of his life like you know him any better than his wife does, cause trust me, you don't know his wife, and you sure as hell have no idea what any other member of his family had to go through when he passed away. You heartless bastards. And that's it for the worst songs of this year. Let me know your thoughts on the list and what you agree with or disagree with. The next video will be the best songs of 2025. A video I will be looking forward to making more than I was with this one. But until then, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.